Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Reds Rundown Podcast, listened by two lifelong Reds fans and journalists. I'm Rob, he is Joe, and we appreciate you taking the time to join us today. Joe, we are in the first of our off-season, I don't know what you want to call it, just shows, episodes here today. And there are I think a few things that we're going to be going through. We're going to talk about awards. We will be going over roster stuff, saying our goodbyes to certain players because we planned this perfectly, as we always do, Joe. World Series went to 7 games, all that jazz. But how are you doing today? We haven't done this in a while, so I forgot to ask you that first.
Well, I mean, doing well. Sucks the baseball season is over, but a thrilling World Series. Hoping that it will, with the Dodgers winning, hope it will make that maybe there will be a salary cap coming soon because, well, I do think the owners, and we've talked about it, a lot this season, need to spend more money just on their own volition. It's just not happening. We have a lot of teams who are competitive. I would love my team to be a little bit more competitive despite making the playoffs. So see if that has any implications. We'll see if there's a possible lockout coming here soon with the salary cap stuff. And but a great World Series and twists and turns and had some former Reds going in it, which was kind of fun to watch and not so fun to watch in other regards. But yeah, it's fun. We're going to have a lot of fun this offseason hoping that the Reds do something. Let's see what they can do.
Yeah, I can't wait, honestly. I think that there's a lot for them to discuss, a lot for them to potentially do, and it's really going to come down to money. So what I'm going to ask for you guys is make sure you like and subscribe as always so you don't miss out on any of this great content. Also, let us know in the comment section below the answer to this question. What do you think the Reds' payroll is going to be? Last year, it was pretty good overall. Let me get that up really quickly. I'll give you guys a breakdown. So last year, the adjusted payroll was about $120 million, $119. The year before, I believe, was actually, funny enough, almost the exact same. No, it was not. It was 102, so a little bit less. And the projected one so far for this year, Joe, is right around that 102 mark currently, just depending on what you're looking at here. But for the actual players that we are sure on, it's 105. If you take Austin Hayes out, which we'll need to talk about, it's down to $93 million for the year. I project the Reds may be willing to spend up to $150 million. So that gives you guys a little bit of where my head is at. But let's start real quick with our Lone Gold Glove Award winner, Ke'Bryan Hayes. This was just announced yesterday. He was awarded the Gold Glove. They said Pirates and Reds, which makes sense. Obviously, he spent most of the season with the Pirates, but he is now a Red. So we officially have a Gold Glover at third base right now. Spencer Steer did make it into the final 3 for the National League. Matt Olson beat him out. Probably Spencer spending so much time in other positions hurt him. Had he been at first base all season, I think there's a chance that he may have actually won the award, Joe, which would be crazy, considering, everything else we have going on with this team and with this lineup. So we will certainly have to talk about that going forward. But do you got any thoughts on Mr. Key?
Yeah, well deserved. He is the best defensive third baseman in the league right now. We talked other great defensive third basemen have kind of aged out, and he's in his prime right now. A guy who I don't think we make the playoffs without him, without his addition. Yes, there was a slump at the end with his bat, but when he came over and he started hitting the ball a lot better, it just makes me excited to see what he can do next year with a full offseason with the Reds and in this ballpark with a full season. And I think it's going to possibly, getting him is great. I think we're going to have a lot of fun stuff to talk about. It's also going to make it fun or maybe a little more interesting to talk about how the rest of the field gets positioned next year because he's got to play third base. He's the best defensive third baseman. Spencer Steer almost won the Gold Glove at first, but we have Sal Stewart. Where is he going to play? Is Spencer Steer back to the outfield? Is Sal Stewart moving to the outfield? There's there's a lot of questions to be asked and answered, and I don't even think that the Reds will know until they start signing free agents of where they're going to put these guys. So the only thing, like I said, at the end of this past season was we know Ke'Bryan Hayes is at third base. They've since said that Ellie's going to play third, and Marte's probably going to be right field. Rabel's going to be center, but there's a lot of other positions that are just up for grabs or free agent decisions are going to impact. So it is nice to have that defensive Gold Glove locking down the third base hot corner.
Yeah, and I think he is going to get better. I think people need to realize that. And luckily, we have a ton of people on our roster who can play third base should there be a need for it. But definitely well deserved from him. We'll talk about first base here in a little bit, Joe. But I definitely think I'll just say it straight up. I'm penciling in Spencer Steer to be the everyday first baseman at this point. But what that does do is that puts you at a lack of hitting to a certain degree at first and third. And I know people don't want to hear that with Spencer because God love everybody. They love him so much, and I do too, to be fair. But I do think we are seeing maybe the limits of him as a potential player moving forward, and that's okay. He's still only 27 years old. We probably got another good 4 years of his prime, which he will be currently, as far as I can tell, a red leg for that entire time. So that is great news there. Moving on, we gotta say our goodbyes. There are only 2 so far, like official goodbyes. We have free agents that we'll talk about, but I just think these are guys who recently were let go and cut off of the 40-man roster. Ian Gibaut and Santiago Espinal elected free agency. He was outrighted to AAA. Decided to take his chances in free agency. I don't blame him. Honestly, I think that's probably the best move for him. There is a very real chance both these guys could be back next season in AAA. I would not be surprised by that, but they just don't have a role right now on the Reds 40-man roster, which, like I said, has been cut down. I think we are down to now like somewhere in the 30s, Joe. I don't know for sure. Obviously in the 30s because you're going down from 40, but somewhere in like the low 30s, if I remember correctly, because with all the free agents as well, we might as well just get these out of the way too. Nick Martinez, Zach Littell, Emilio Pagan, Miguel Andujar, and Wade Miley all off of the 40-man as well. There are a couple mutual options and team options. Austin Hayes has a mutual option for $12 million. Nobody's really expecting either team to pick or either side to pick that up. I think Austin Hayes would probably like more years, and I think the Reds would probably like to not pay him $12 million. So you have that, and then Scott Barlow at $6.5 million for a team option, and Brent Suter for $3 million. I will say Charlie Goldsmith made it sound like they were very much projecting to pick up both of those options. So I don't know necessarily about Barlow's, but I think a pretty team-friendly deal for Brent Suter doesn't seem like something they would pass up. I think he'd even be willing to renegotiate that if absolutely necessary. It doesn't seem like he ever wants to leave Cincinnati, and now that it's his home, I don't think he really plans on wanting to leave at this point. So yeah, do you got any thoughts on the goodbyes on the roster spots where we are at so far, so then we can start getting into all of the theory crafting and things that this episode entails?
Yeah, I'm sad for 2 of the guys I like to cheer for go, and Ian Gibaut and Santiago Espinal. Mm-hmm. Gibaut, injuries unfortunately got him. It's going to happen. Don't really have a spot for him now. We want to, there's plenty of baseball teams that will give him a chance to kind of refine what he was and see what he can do. But if we're trying to make the playoffs, we just can't afford to have that guy on the major league roster. As you said, we tried to send him to minor leagues, but it's not going to stick. Yeah. Santiago Espinal, I don't know how to break the news to my girlfriend that she got me a customized Santiago Espinal t-shirt last year. I haven't brought that up yet, but no, I still like him. I think he's a perfect 26th man. He might be one of these guys who's on like a good playoff team, like a World Series team, as the 26th man on the roster. He was put in a situation where he was producing early last year, and then he kind of fell off. And then we brought up some other guys who have better potential hitting the ball. I will say I think got a lot of heat from Reds fans I don't think he deserved, but I do understand moving on from him because they did raise the floor, right? They brought up Sal Stewart. As much as I would like to say Matt McClain shouldn't have been starting and probably should have been in AAA for most of last year, and Santiago Espinal should have stayed as like the utility guy behind Sal Stewart and behind Spencer Steer and the other guys in the infield. The Reds there's too attached to Matt McClain, and maybe for good or for worse. I don't know what it's going to end up being, to be honest, in the future. But thank you for your time, Santiago. It was a lot of fun cheering for you. I love my utility guys and guys who just try to play baseball the right way in terms of like hitting the ball the other way. We talked about that all the time, and playing multiple positions, which really helped us out in a lot of cases. So that's for the goodbye stuff. For the roster guys who might come back on the options, Scott Barlow, Brent Suter, I think you have to do it. Suter, yes, maybe glorified innings eater at times this year. A lot of times where he wasn't used for days on end. But 3 million is pretty cheap. He's a lefty. Keep him there. I think you do have to be on watch this year that he doesn't fall off. He is aging, getting older. I do like his locker room presence, but you just have to watch for that this year. Scott Barlow, just everything he did, you have to pick up that option. There's plenty of guys, and I have some guys listed who maybe were better than him a little bit, or maybe we're just kind of like in that same tier as him this past year, who are going to command $2 to $3 more million, sometimes $4 million more, and he's getting with this team option. So you have to pick him up.
Yep.
Austin Hayes, I guess we'll get into it, Rob. I think you have to decline it.
Oh, absolutely.
12 million market value has him around 6. I would not be opposed to bringing him back on a $6 million deal. I think he did enough to warrant that. But if we're talking about a team that has, a payroll that, if you think they're getting 150, maybe this is something they pick up. But like they seemingly don't want to spend the money, and if you can go get someone else for 12 that is better than him, go do that. If not, get him for 6 and. Again, we've raised the floor of our team this past season, and if we keep on raising the floor by bringing guys like Austin Hayes back, I understand it. It's just at that price doesn't seem too fair to the Reds.
Yeah, it's tough with him because, he did a great job. I mean, if he plays a full season, he's probably hitting 25 home runs, driving in close to 100 RBIs. His problem is, and everybody said this, right? Orioles fans warned us, he just isn't able to stay healthy. And he is going to be over the 30 mark. I guess we'll just start there. I agree with Suter. I think they should look around with Barlow just because if we're looking at relief pitchers that they have control over, who I think are going to play a big role next season, right? If you bring back Suter, you have him. Tony Santillan, I think, may end up being their closer, but it depends. They may want to keep him in that fireman role where he can do it all. I'm open to that. Graham Ashcraft will probably stick around. Connor Phillips earned at least a very serious look. Zach Maxwell, Luis May, Lyon Richardson, I think had a very good season as well. You're already into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bullpen guys before you even get to Barlow. Now, the thing is that very clearly Terry Francona trusts Scott Barlow. I feel very confident that they will probably pick it up, but I at least think they should look around before they do because there's only one lefty in that entire group that I just brought up. So that's going to be the issue. If I'm a betting man, I think Maxwell gets pushed out. I think they bring in Richardson to be the righty longer guy, Brent Suter to be the lefty longer guy, and I think they go out and get another lefty and maybe allow for Santillan or even potentially Connor Phillips to start the season as their closer. I don't hate the idea of it for Santillan. Some of these other guys are going to definitely have to take a step up. So we will see about that. One thing we do know is that they're going to need a lefty. For Austin Hayes, I think you 100% decline it. I don't even think it's a question. I think, if the Reds are playing this game where they need to free up payroll for other things, they're in a beautiful position to do so. There are 2 guys, actually, where they could cut them out, Joe, and be down to $80 million and have plenty of payroll flexibility. The first one would be Austin Hayes. You take out that $12 million, and look, I appreciate the energy that he brought. It felt like they had found their left fielder for the next maybe couple of years. Now it feels very much like that's just not going to end up being the case. The injuries were just too much. You can't rely on him, and I think he's too good to be somebody who's taking up a bench slot, right? Like I just don't think he's going to want to just be a bench guy who plays, once every 3 or 4 days. Like you need a guy who's going to be there every single day. And you can't predict health, but it just feels like Austin Hayes just does not have that ability, and it's not going to get better as he gets older, right? I mean, he's already 30 years old, so it's not like he's got the opportunity to figure out his health. Like no, I mean, Joe, I don't know about you, but 30 felt a lot different than 25 for me. So even with him as a professional athlete, his body is just going to decline. I just don't see him being that guy. The other one I'll bring up real quickly is Brady Singer, and I think he's going to be a guy the Reds are going to have to very strongly consider trading if they feel very confident in the starting 5 of Hunter Green, Andrew Abbott, Nick Lodolo, Chase Burns, and Rhett Lauder. If they think those 5 are going to be enough, and the backups of Chase Petty, Brandon Williamson, Julian Aguiar, and Carson Spires are enough, then maybe you can deal Singer so that you can spend a ton of money on a bat in this offseason. So those are the 2 big options for me. You got any final thoughts here on all of that before we head into, some theory crafting, where we're going to see everybody?
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind if they shop Singer and try to save money or maybe get replenish some prospects or even get some MLB ready players, just like our Jonathan India for him trade was good in that regard. I do think they'll probably end up keeping him because they like that starting pitching depth.
I agree.
They want there's a lot of our starting pitchers who are young get injured, and they want to make sure they have some security. He can eat innings for us, and I don't really know what's going to happen with some of the free agents we'll talk about here in a second that are on the team or currently were on the team last year. But I think it's good to have someone like him on the roster. And even if you do decline Austin Hayes' option, and even if you say you do sign him for $6 million next year or whatever, just say you bring him back, there's still plenty of room to operate. We're going to get more into a payroll conversation here in a little bit, but this isn't even close to the largest payroll that we've had as a franchise. When with the inflation, with how big the league is getting, with all the broadcast rights deals, that's crazy. Our largest payroll for the year-end 40-man roster was $135 million in 2019. It's like we've gone down since then. We've had some years that are higher, but that's where we're sitting right now, which is like you said, 102-ish million, Rob. That's like several very impactful players that you can add to your team for that. So if we actually want to spend and compete, that's huge. So I think they will probably keep him, and they will try to build on that, and they will try to cut costs otherwise, like finding Hayes' mutual option and like letting some of these free agents block, as we talked about all season long. Like having Nick Martinez's $20 million come off the books will be pretty good. Not to saying he might not come back on a deal because he does love Cincinnati, and I like having him in the clubhouse, but you just can't have that guy making $20 million. So it opens up a lot of things, but we'll see. I think Singer probably stays just for that depth.
I think so too, but again, if they're like, well, we need to free up payroll, and that's the whole part of the conversation around Hunter Green potentially getting traded, right? Like, just trade Singer. Like, you don't have to get rid of Green. Green is arguably on the best contract in baseball right now for a pitcher of his caliber. And for you Reds fans who need to know, we have him for 26, 27, 28, and 29. Because guess what? Even in 29 at $21 million, I bet you Hunter Green is still going to be a bargain. And that's a team option, as a reminder. He does not have a choice on that one. So the Reds can cook. Like, I want to remind everybody, too, real quickly, since we're talking payroll, and then we'll get into the free agents. These are their 3 players who are not on arbitration in terms of their batters. Austin Hayes for $12 million. Key Brian Hayes at $7 million, which I know everybody's like, that's so much, dude. For a Gold Glover, if he can hit 240 again next year, I don't give a shit. Keep him. Totally fine at $7 million for him. And then Jose Trevino, our backup catcher at $5.25 million. Now, again, like Tyler Stevenson is technically the third highest, tied for second, at $7 million is what they're anticipating for this year for him. So you can take that if you would like to, but you get my point. There's like no money in the batters whatsoever, and really no money in the pitchers either, because again, Hunter Green is the only one under any significant contract other than Brady Singer's. Lodolo's going to be $5 million. Santillan's going to be $2.5 million is what they're projecting. Graham at $1.5 million. I mean, Abbott's basically free. Lodolo is still basically free. I mean, it's just the payroll flexibility is insane. So, sorry. I'll throw that back to you. But
you're good. No, I think we should mention that a lot of the Hunter Green rumors are heating up, and it is crazy. Like, they should not even consider trading him at all. I think there's almost no scenario unless someone knocks down your door with an offer you just can't refuse.
Yep.
There's a reason why, like, the Bostons and some of the other bigger organizations are coming after him. It's a very good deal for us. It is a potential superstar. He keeps on getting better every year. So, that kind of goes into their offseason plans. If they trade Hunter Green, even if they get someone like Roman Anthony from Boston. I think it is a bad move. I'll be very mad at the Reds front office.
Mm-hmm.
They always say you need pitching to go far in the playoffs. We have the pitching. This was the first step was making the playoffs this year, and I would love to see what he can do in the future. So again, unless you just get something crazy, it would be absolutely asinine. The contract is just so good for the Reds, and they need to start doing these contracts with their other
Now,
stars who are young as well to start
now,
locking them up. Like you said, there's other options to free up payroll. You can get rid of Brady Singer. You can not decide to take options for guys like Nick Martinez last year to kind of free up payroll or free up money now that you can use later too. They're just haven't made the best decisions with some of the guys that we've talked about, and I would be very upset if they got rid of Hunter Green on what is probably one of the best contracts in baseball for a guy who is at that point of his career.
yeah, the Reds took a gamble and it paid off. Learn that occasionally you can take a gamble and it will pay off. I think it makes sense completely, in my opinion. And I know that it's like we gotta prepare for Ellie. Joe, we have to prepare for Ellie. Guys, he's not even in arbitration 1 yet. This dude is on the team until 2030, basically, at a minimum. Like, come on. Relax a little bit on that one. I know we want Ellie De La Cruz to be an all-time Red, but who knows what's going to happen when he's 30 years old. That's about the time that he's going to be available. He's 24 right now. Let's just don't even worry about that right now. Let that one go. This is a small side rant, but just don't worry about Ellie De La Cruz's contract. It is so far in the future. Who cares? Like, unless if they're going to lock him up for a 15-year deal now and just anticipate that he's going to be the biggest superstar of all time, right? Like, it doesn't matter. I really cannot express that enough. Now, if they do a $10 million or a 10-year deal with him and they really feel like he is going to be that guy for them and they want to make it happen and he wants to make it happen, and they got to try to get some payroll flexibility for down the road, then sure, I guess you can talk about that. But that doesn't – the two things don't have to be exclusive. They can be together. You can still keep Hunter Green and keep Ellie De La Cruz, especially at the prices that we are talking about right now. And let's be real here. That gives the Reds 5 years to maybe even find more money, like the ownership group. Maybe they go out and, I don't know, sell part of the team. They don't have to sell the whole damn team. Just sell part of the team. I'm so sure that there are Cincinnati businessmen who would gladly put in a couple $1 million a year to be able to make this team better. So, and they can still have full control. So just throwing that out there, by the way. That is absolutely a real possibility and a thing that can happen.
Yeah, and just talk about if he does get a contract. Just say he was a free agent on the open market right now. He would probably get $30 to $40 million a year. Kyle Tucker's projected to get like 40-ish. He's the number one free agent on a lot of people's list. Other guys like Bo Bichette, more like 30-ish, stuff like that. That's still not as much as we're right at the payroll we had 5-6 years ago now. That's crazy.
Yep.
So you have time to make that money, like you said, Rob. You have time to work on other people's contracts now and get to the payroll we used to have. And if you're going to cry poor all the time, we can't afford this, we don't have the resources, then maybe it's just not owning a baseball team, not owning a competitive baseball team. Maybe it isn't for you. It's just how it is with the way things are. If there's a salary cap later, maybe that's something we could talk about, making things more competitive. But it is very hard for me to sympathize with the ownership on saving money for Ellie when I just don't think that's even to be on the radar yet. Or if it is, it's get to the negotiating table and get it done. And like you said, lock it up. So there's one of two options, and sitting in the middle and crying poor just doesn't sit right with me.
I couldn't agree more. Free agents. Let's just go down the list one by one and say if we think they're going to bring them back. How's that sound?
Sounds good to me.
Nick Martinez.
No.
I'm good. We've seen enough Martinez. He's been awesome. We appreciate him. They need to find another guy who I think can be a role like that, potentially. Maybe. I think Ryan Richardson could theoretically be that if you really needed him to, but that's really being poor there, in my opinion. But just not at that money. I mean, he'll never make $21 million again or whatever it was last year, Joe. I just don't believe that will ever be the case for him. But I could see somebody signing him for $10 million a year, and I just don't think he's worth that to the Reds. I think he might be worth that overall. Just with the way that this Reds team is going, I think payroll allocation needs to go elsewhere. So I'm going to agree with you on a no for him. Zach Littell.
No. Probably cheaper that Martinez will be on the open market, but we didn't see him go to the bullpen, right? So like I'm going to trust that they're going to stick with the starting pitchers they have, and they'll go find more relief help rather than bring back Littell.
I'm going to go yes, but I think they're going to do it on a super small deal compared to what I think people would think that he would do. I'm not saying that I would love for him to be back, but they're just they love that flexibility, right? Like the two most valuable guys who are pitchers, right? In terms of like I think mentally for the Reds. I gave my award to Santillan this year because I think his flexibility to be a closer, to be your super setup guy, to come in the middle of the fourth inning if you need to because the game is so close and important, to shut it down and give you another inning after that. Like he was able to do all of that, so I could totally see them, evaluating that type of a role, obviously, which is why I think they'll look for another type of Santillan. But along with that, right? Nick Martinez really, they loved what he provided for this team, right? Like the ability to just go in and be a starter 1 week and then 3 days later or whatever, be a reliever if they needed him to, like that was just so incredibly valuable that I think that they are going to look for that very intently. And if they're going to end up picking between the two, I think Littell would make the most sense. Now, I don't love the fact that Littell scares me. Right, in terms of the amount of home runs when that splitter is just up too much. Like the difference is literally a couple of inches between a huge strikeout with his splitter and a home run. And so if they can figure that out, then that's fine. But a lot of those solo home runs that he gave up in Cincinnati are going to end up being bigger home runs. And I just don't love that for him. So I could see them doing it for like $6 million a year or $7 million a year, Joe, but I hope not. I'll say I personally hope not, but I think they might do it, to be honest.
I mean, that's fair. There is a chance that they bring back one of those two guys, Martinez or Littell, and say like, "Hey, we'll bite the bullet on 8 to 12 million on one of you." Maybe Martinez would be more likely to do that because he's familiar with the city and the
I would love for that. $8 million from Nick Martinez, I think would be great. By the way, sorry, just throwing that in there.
We're gonna have to. We're gonna see what the market commands. I think there is value in guys like this who other teams don't really see the value. I think in terms of like, I guess they see it in terms of openers, but next guy we're talking about will kind of make this a little bit more clear. Like people love closers. They love that the values of closer is way more than it should be in baseball. So you get someone like this back and just help the bullpen overall. Maybe have Tony Santillan stay as closer if the next guy we talk about doesn't come back. That could be something to look at. But there's definitely a path where one of these two guys comes back. If it is Littell, I'm with you. I really am worried about. As a starter, it's okay because he can sometimes even himself out. But when you're a reliever and you come in and you leave that splitter up, that's dangerous. That can really ruin games right away. So that's something I could be concerned with. But yeah, there's definitely a possibility. I think 1 out of 2 come back. I'm going to say no to both because I think they'll try to explore cheaper options just based on their history. But I could be surprised.
I just think Littell's market's going to probably be. I think people are going to be very weary of his home runs, and I could see the Reds giving him like a 1-year deal to prove it. Maybe. Next guy's going to be Emilio Pagan. I'll start with this one. No, thank you. I'm sorry. I just can't imagine he's going to be able to recreate what he did this year. It's coming from a hater, I guess, of Pagan early on to somebody who just thinks he was rocking the world for a very long time there, but not as a closer. If he came back as a setup man again, right, and maybe even in support of Tony Santillan, and then was like available as a closer if we needed him to be, I would be all about that, but I don't think that's a role that he's going to want to take, to be completely honest with you. So I don't know, Joe. Maybe you feel differently, but I just think, like you said, he finished second, right, or third in terms of closing this year for saves, and I have this feeling that he is going to get somebody to really overpay for like 2 years on him, and I'm just praying it's not us.
Yeah, again, it's just the closer thing, right? Like he was a closer this year, his value automatically goes up. I think he did pitch a lot better. Still a very big fly ball pitcher, and that's not something you want to rely on in our ballpark specifically. I could see a world where they sign him for $10 million and like, oh, okay, let's see how it goes. But like, not I'm not gonna be like very happy. I'm gonna say no, he doesn't sign with this though because at the trade deadline he made comments to the media being like, hey, get some more guys in here. We want to make the playoffs. And people might say, oh, maybe he loves Cincinnati. What's Cincinnati do well? It's more so, I think that he doesn't, I don't think he cares whether he's a closer or not. I think the Reds, one of the things they can offer him that other teams can't, like other team playoff teams can't, is like, hey, you can be our closer again. But I think he wants to win more than that. I think he's going to go somewhere and make more money, be a setup guy rather than be a closer. He might go to one of these teams that was in the World Series or in the Championship Series. And because he wants to win, I think is the main thing. If he can have a better chance at winning and make more money, I don't think us saying, "Hey, you could be the closer next year. You and Tony could battle it out, or even you are the closer next year." I don't think that trumps him based on what he's kind of how he's acted out of that conference that he or that press conference he had when it was about the Reds getting more players. So I'll say no, he's not back. But if they do bring him back and it isn't too expensive, I won't be that upset. I'll be like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, you know what's funny, dude, is I feel like I'm in such a different boat than you. I just, even right now, and I know we got 2 more free agents to get to. Let's just both say no to Wade Miley, I would assume at this point. I think he might come back as a coach. So we'll get to Miguel Andujar in a moment. But I think pitching is the thing they don't need to spend money on. I think one good bullpen guy, and that's it. I think for right now, and I know that that's going to be super controversial, but I think hitting needs to be what they need to look at right now. I think they've got the pitching lined up. And if you don't like one of the younger guys, right? If you're really confident that Phillips, Maxwell, or May specifically are just not going to be it, right? Then maybe you go out and look at another guy. But it's like, dude, paying Scott Barlow $6.5 million is what we're talking about. And now we're saying, maybe like 10 million for Pagan. Like, they're just in different stratospheres for me right now. And I just don't think Pagan's going to be that much. And I just worry that, we've got about $40 million, I think, to spend. And like maybe a little bit more. If that is the case, I don't love the idea of spending 20 million on guys that you're just not really sure on. Right. And so that's where it comes down for me is like, I'd rather them spend that 20 million on maybe guys who are maybe a little bit younger, who are consistent and maybe a slight either better or an upside guy. I don't know. There's just something about me still that just is not confident that Emilio Pagan will be able to recreate what he did this year. And maybe it is really truly that I'm a hater. He hasn't done it pretty much most of his career. And it feels like this one was a bit more of I'm looking at that to make sure that I'm not wrong. Yeah, I mean, this was his second time in his career, his third time. He basically does this like once every 2 or 3 years where he has this kind of a season. And then the other ones are like 4.5, 4.4, 4.83, 4.5, 4.35 ERA. It's just like, I don't know. It's just, there's something there that just doesn't give me confidence. I'll put it that way. I mean, the last thing I'll say on this really quickly. The man has 104 save opportunities, Joe. He's only converted 65 of them, and 32 were in one season. A 60% save rate, I think, is pretty awful. I don't love that.
I don't think he's. Like I said, I'm 0 for 3 on all the guys that said to be back. I think there's a chance 1 out of the 2 or 1 out of the 3 come back. See what the market says about all of them. I do think with what we're losing, you probably need 2 good bullpen arms, and you probably need 1 starting pitcher who can eat innings and be what I guess we thought Wade Miley could be if he came back of like, hey, you can go in there, and he did for a couple weeks there. But I need that just for the organizational depth, like a quadruple A guy. And then, yes, I would spend the rest on bats, but I do think our bullpen was average last year, and you take some of these guys out of the equation where, like, Martinez was great out of the bullpen for us at times. Gon was great last year. You go from an average bullpen to a bad bullpen real quick when it's Tony Santillan and Scott Barlow carrying the weight for a lot of people who didn't produce as much last year. So
I agree.
I'm with you in theory, but I'm all for finding value in the bullpen because it does flip year to year. All these guys, a lot of them can flip year to year. So if you want to not pay Martinez 10, or excuse me, if you don't want to pay Martinez like 8 or Pagan 10 or Littell maybe 9 is kind of some of the numbers I've seen with those guys. And you want to go get guys who are $4 or $5 million guys and see if it works. I'm not against that. I would still like maybe a star in the bullpen, like a closer. I know I just said they're overpaid and overvalued, but if we get one on our team, I'm going to be very happy about it still. But I'm with you. I think that's what's going to be is like make sure the bullpen doesn't slip below average, make it average to good next year. Get a little bit more starting pitching depth, but it doesn't have to be anything crazy, not a crazy amount of money, just a fifth or sixth starter for a major league team. And then the rest should be spent on the hitters because that was the pain point this year. Like I think injuries with the pitchers definitely are something that have provided us pain in the past, and we need to make sure that's like a couple guys can go in. But our hitting, if we were a decent hitting team last year, this team would have been in the playoffs for sure. Wouldn't need to even had the collapse by the Mets or our great run at the end of the year would have been just, oh, you're in. You're a 90-win team, and that's what's frustrating about this team. Starting pitching was great for most of the year. The bullpen below average really heated up at the end of the season and turned into an average bullpen, and then the hitting just wasn't quite exactly what we thought it was for a lot of guys. So if you can get guys and pay them and have maybe the Reds front office or Terry in some cases be unattached to guys who did not perform last year, then that is the move. Kind of think they might go spend more on pitching based on how much they're obsessed with it and how much like they don't want to give up on Matt McClain and they don't want to give up on some of the guys who haven't played well. But if you go get some of these free agents, like I have several free agents on my list here, Rob, of guys we can go after who are hitters that you're moving people around and you're probably going to end up, hey, Sal Stewart, you're playing second. Spencer, you're moving to the outfield. We have a first baseman coming in or something like that. Like, and I'm not saying that's definitely going to be the case, but that's kind of where I'm at with it. So in theory, I'm with you, but I don't know what they're going to do, which kind of makes me scared, but also a little excited too. Maybe they get a little bit frisky.
I love that. I will say, looking at the market value currently on Spot Track, Nick Martinez is the fourth guy at 14 million is what they have him at, behind Edwin Diaz, Robert Suarez, and Andres Munoz. I will just straight up say right now, if Andres Munoz is only going to cost you 16 million, that would be somebody who I'd actually be. He's 26. Yeah. I'd be like, okay, I think he's going to probably go for the biggest. Pagan they have at 12 million. I liked the 8 million a little bit more. Maybe they meet him in the middle, but it sounds like he's probably gone. What's really interesting here, they got Brent Suter at 4.4 million, Scott Barlow at 2.6.
Wow.
That's why I'm like, I'm not sure. I think they might renegotiate. I think they might let him go and then renegotiate his contract.
That's the crazy thing. You can go to Spot Track. I've been using like NBC Sports predictions.
Yeah.
There are contract numbers all over the map this year.
It is crazy.
And I get it. Like it sucks when like a market value's there and then like the big market teams goes and pay someone and that changes what the market value is for people. And that's capitalism right there. But it also is very frustrating when you're trying to find what the value is. I will say there will be one of those three bullpen guys we listed who we could get maybe at $8 million a year.
Yeah.
I don't know which one it'll be, but just that's the way offseason goes. Like they'll have a couple guys get picked up. Maybe someone will be upset about Pagan's fly ball rate or how old he is or something like that, and they'll be like, I'm staying away from him, or Martinez just his age or something like that. There'll be value in places we can get it. I'm not sure it's with any of these three guys specifically, but we can find some value with bullpen specifically, especially knowing we have Big Tony coming back.
Zach Littell, almost 13 million, by the way. It's wild to me. God, These values are crazy. Last one real quick, and then we really got to get into it. Miguel Andujar. I'm going to say no.
I'm going to say yes, because what he did was amazing back half of the year. I get that he can't really play defense, but with a team that couldn't hit the ball, I will figure out the defense later, knowing I already have Gold Glove third baseman. And NBC Sports has his projected value at like $4 to $4.5 million. You get that return on your investment just by the lefties you face. He is that important against lefties for this lineup. I would have almost zero faith with our lineup against lefties without him, and especially in big games specifically, even though we did play a little bit better against lefties this year. But you're taking him and Austin Hayes out of the lineup, and then you're rolling in. Like, yes, there's definitely guys we can sign in free agency, but if you can start getting the negotiating table with Andujar now before other teams are negotiating with him or whatever, that might be saving you money, whereas you go get a free agent who's going to cost 2 times as much as Andujar, but maybe doesn't produce more than a little bit better than him. So I'll say yes. I would like them to bring him back. I think it would be a good fit to have an actual DH. But again, if they let him walk and it's like, I will be a little upset for the left-handed pitching part, but I won't be overall upset if they do more. But we'll see.
I think here's my reasoning why. The one is there's a reason, and I don't know why exactly. Maybe it's the injury, whatever. There's a reason he's not gotten more play over the last couple of years. Now, I'm very open to him coming back personally. I think Sal Stewart is your DH, Joe. I'm going to be honest with you. I think that is what they do. Because we were going to talk about lineup anyways. This is really how I see it. I see Sal Stewart as your DH, Stevenson at catcher, Spencer at first, McLean at second, Elliott short, Key Bryan at third. We'll figure out left field, TJ and Noel V. Marte. I think left field is where they go. I would like for them to get a DH. Don't get me wrong. And I would love for Andrew Hart to come back. But they got to play Sal Stewart every day. And they're not going... I don't think... It's hard because McLean is the big issue here. Which McLean are you going to get? Are you going to get healthy 2023 McLean or still recovering, kind of figured it out, still very good defensively Matt McLean of 2025, right? And to me, McLean is still so young, and we saw what he can be when he is healthy. Those shoulder injuries take forever to return from. I am going to stand on this hill. We have seen it time and time again in baseball. Your power and your ability to get around on that up fastball, I think that really dominated the way that Matt McLean, all of his at-bats would go, to be honest with you. And it was really late into the season. Sorry, just hit my mic. Really late into the season before he actually hit a home run or hit anything on a ball that was in the upper third quadrant of the strike zone. So I'm really of the opinion, Joe, that he's going to have a bounce back season. And maybe I shouldn't be placing my hopes on that. You can always go out and get somebody at the trade deadline, right? But if Sal Stewart is going to be that important where you have to play him every day, which I think you do, I think the only way he gets in every day is at the DH spot.
I think that's how it's going to go. I don't think that's how it should go. I think that they're going to trust in Matt McLean, but if you're telling me I can go get a free agent to play left field and another one to play second base and then Sal Stewart's your DH, I want to do that every time. I want to have the team ready to go. I want to have a battle for second base. I want to have guys fighting for playing time. Because if we do get into the season where it's a month or two in and Matt McLean's struggling, not only do you have to go trade for someone to help this team, giving up prospects, which we know all our Reds fans on Twitter just hate giving up prospects, even if they're not even that highly ranked.
Yep.
But you're also already going to pay that guy for the rest of the season. So I would say that's bad preparation if you just say our plan is just Matt McLean's second baseman, we'll go sign a left fielder, and that's it. Obviously, we'll probably sign some more guys than that for the bench. We have plenty of guys from last year's team who just aren't. Santiago Espinal, Andujar in this scenario, Hayes in this scenario, Fraley obviously not with the team anymore. I do think it would be bad. It's not bad to say, as a manager, to say, I have faith in Matt McLean, we're going to let him start the year. But I think as a front office, that is bad to say, hey, he has shown that much so far. If our backup plan here is we're going to start him at second base and our backup plan is move guys around or Gavin Lux, I don't really like that. I think, again, it's just an excuse for the front office. So, again, manager-wise, cool. GM-wise, baseball operations-wise, you can say that, but we're trying to win. I don't think that's the right move.
I guess we'll find out. I mean, look, I would love for Andrew Hart to come back, be that guy. I mean, maybe they move Sal in the left field because in most ballparks he'd probably be fine in left field, to be honest with you. He's not very fast, but he's not slow either. Look, to me, it's going to come down to they're going to go and sign one bat, I think. Maybe two, in all reality. And I just don't want that to take away from the other possible bats that they could get. And it's not that Andrew Hart wouldn't be great, right? He would. But his home run rate with the Reds was much higher than his career home run rate, right? I mean, there's a reason why he has played for Pittsburgh and Oakland the last 2 years. Now, he is starting to figure it out, so maybe that's the reason why. I mean, we saw in Oakland last year, 285, limited at bats, but still. with Cincinnati, obviously, I mean, he hit well over 300 for the entire year last year. So if they think that, like, dude, this 30-year-old is about to hit like a 2-year spurt where he is just going to be unbelievable, and you just stick him in the middle of your order, and you think that that's what he is going to be, and he's going to hit 20 home runs, and you're just going to have 4 guys on your team hit 20 home runs instead of one guy hitting, 35 or 40, I'm all about it. I'm just saying, like, I'm trying to think about how the Reds are going to do it too, dude. And I really think they're going to, like, if they were willing to go get Jamer, at $15 million 2 years ago, they're going to be willing to go get, I think, one more bat at like the 20, 25 million mark. And I think the problem is that if they really believe that either thing is true, that Matt McLain is not good enough and that Sal Stewart for sure is going to be next year, right? When we've seen it. I mean, Sal Stewart was basically what Matt McLain was in 23, right? Going into 24. We saw it with Marte, although I think Marte's really figured it out. Like Spencer Steer too. Like there is that fall off as teams start to figure it out. And we could already see it with Sal, right? He's already struggling with that curveball away, like breaking ball away. So unless if they're saying that both things are true, that Matt McLain is not going to be that guy and Sal Stewart is going to be that guy where they're going to start him, I just think I'd rather them spend that money on a left fielder, to be honest with you. An everyday actual left fielder, not some experiment that we hope is going to go out there. But I could be wrong.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where I think Andujar might be the best case scenario for what we actually do, in the sense that I think that they probably need 2 really good bats and guys who can start, just based on my feeling that Matt McLain should not be trusted as well. I hope he does well, and that's not an issue, but we need to find the left fielder, and we need to find the DH. He is cheap enough that I think you get the DH there. I'd move Sal Stewart to second base in this scenario, and then you can go get a left fielder for much more money. But if the alternative is they get 2 guys who are worth $15 million a year, or one guy who's worth $20 million a year, another guy's worth 7 or 8, that could do the trick. I don't know if they're going to do that. Is kind of the question. Like, yeah, you're right. They do take shots sometimes with Jamer, and this kind of is like every couple of years we'll find a guy, like they go in on a guy. It's never like the top of the market guys. It's kind of the guys who are taking risks on. So we'll see what they do. I think it's more comes down to, is Andujar their first call? Probably not. Should he be if they want to try to get him cost controlled? Yes, but if they're trying to get the best team possible and aren't afraid to spend money, they should go play the field and see what's going to come back to them. So, again, I have plenty of free agents. I would love to kind of have a sign. I think I would do it. I think they're worth it in every way I would look at it, for the money they're spending and for getting a payroll that is close to 150, which is what you should do if you're trying to win. But you're right. That's the tough part, is you just don't know how this front office is going to do. And the history tells you that they're going to try to keep prices down. And that's what makes things tough. Like I'm just dreading it. I don't think the lineup is bad by any stretch, but I'm dreading a lineup where it's just the same as last year. Like for the end of the year, it's just Stevenson at catcher, Steer at first, McLain at second, Stewart at DH, Elliott short, Brian Hayes at third, Austin Hayes in left field, TJ Friedel in center, and Marte in right. Like, that didn't work. I think everyone can get better. A lot of young guys can get better, but like, we have the money. We had such a good playoff run. If you want to build on that, you want to be that team that, like, oh, we learned from losing in the playoffs this year. We want to go farther next year. I need at least 1 big bat or 2 solid bats.
I completely agree. And that's where this is the reason why. Let's get into free agents and trade targets. Here are the guys who I've highlighted real quick. We can each take a couple. I'm just going to give you a bunch of them, Joe. And then you can let me know if you have any additional ones, and we'll talk about the ones we want the most. Mine are at DH. Schwarber. I have Andujar at second for my second one, and then Marcell Ozuna. Trade targets for DH / they play other roles, but probably with DH for this team. Shea Langoliers, I think, is an interesting one. Yandy Diaz and Brent Rooker. Not that I want to just everybody take away from the A's. I think that team does have a lot of potential. I just don't know how they're going to handle things. Players at first base are other ones I was looking at. Pete Alonso and Josh Naylor. Now, the average annual value for Pete Alonso is $29 million. With the Reds, I'm going to just throw this very, very briefly out there before I get back to the rest of the names. The Reds have about 4 years of payroll flexibility before everybody on this team starts to get really expensive. They could theoretically still give Alonso a couple years. There's no doubt about it. I don't know how many he's going to want. The rumor that I remembered seeing was 4 years. I think they could technically do it. And then just put him at DH. Really and truly. Josh Naylor, like I said already, another guy who I think is going to be under the radar slightly, only slightly, is Bo Bichette. I don't know if the Reds will have any interest with him, but if they did decide to move Ellie De La Cruz into center and TJ into left, they could go get Bo Bichette, and I don't think that would be a bad pickup for them. Another guy I really like, I don't know where the hell they would play him, maybe second base, is Alex Bregman. I know he's going to be a top talent, but hey, if the Reds want to win, they got to go after top guys. Austin Hayes, I reluctantly put this one, but he did have 34 home runs. Trent Grisham, Kyle Tucker, and Cody Bellinger. And that's why I'm talking about, like, the money needs to go towards one of these guys, in my mind. Trade targets, last thing, trade targets. Weiler Abreu, Randy Arozarena, Jarren Duran, and Steven Kwan in the outfield. Any guys you want to add there?
I do. I like some of the ones you said. I think if we go swinging for specifically some of the guys at DH or first base, that would be awesome. I don't know if they'll do that. I don't know if those guys will want to play in Cincinnati. Some of them should for numbers' sake because our ballpark's fun.
Yep.
I had a couple. I'm gonna go with the guy I want the most. Luis Arraez is a free agent, and his value is about $15 million.
No, you can't be serious.
Yes. Why would I not be serious?
All right, I'm curious. I want to hear you out. I'll stop there. I want to hear you out.
Hit 292 last year. Yes, we want more power, but I'm replacing Matt McClain at second base with this signing. I'm done. You can compete for a spot. You can compete for playing time. Sal Stewart can move to DH. Left fielder is up to be designed. He had his worst year, I think, in a while. 292 average. Usually hits over 300. He never strikes out. That is something we need with this team. I would be very, very happy to have him on this team. I know no one likes the whole contact team. I get that. I want him the most because we are not playing to that bold, and we want to get more power in another spot. So I want him the most. I'm really surprised that you're out on him because I think he's a great player, and that value is ridiculous. I don't think it shows up in the WAR as much, but he is awesome, and I want him playing second base for us next year.
He's just so bad defensively. But yeah, give me your next guy.
Oh, okay. The next couple guys. Okay, this is more. I would say your guys are lofty goals, and I would love for them to be on the
100%.
team. I like your guys.
Don't disagree.
I like your guys a lot more than I like the other guys. I like my guy the most, but I like the first guy the most. But the other guys I like. These are more shots in the dark. Trent Grisham, big risk. Oh my God, he awful a couple of years ago. Last year, 34 home runs for the Yankees. Don't know that he's going to command a lot. He's going to fit in as a DH or a corner outfielder. I think just the fact that he hit 34 home runs and you just get that instant power. I think that's something you look at. I don't know. Maybe he goes to a bigger market. I don't know, but that's the guy. I'd be scared shitless if they sign him, but I don't know.
Me too, dude.
I think you might have to try. Like if we're gonna talk about guys that they actually might sign, I don't know. I like him. Mike Yastrzemski, a guy who's gonna platoon for you. He is older at 35. He's probably like the most consistent baseball player there is, especially like maybe the last couple of years overall. We kind of need. Like, I would love stars. I'd love guys who bring up the value of the lineup. We kind of need a better floor. He would help the floor as a platoon guy for us. And then there are a couple of free agents from Japan in this class.
Okay, that's where I was going to go. I forgot to look there, but yes.
So, no, you're good. We have Munetaka Murakami is a first baseman, third baseman from Japan. He's 26. He's probably going to be signed for 20 million a year. But there's another guy who might be like he's older, but he might have a higher floor. It is Kazuma Okumoto, 29-year-old first base, third baseman, probably could DH. Less power, but he hit 327 last year. Again, he's going to command like 15, 20 million maybe. This is risking it, but these are the type of guys they risk it on. They don't always go get the Pete Alonso, so that's why I kind of signaled these guys out. Again, I really like Arraez. I love him. I don't care about the defense. The other guys, those were the guys where I'm like, oh, those guys could be Reds next year, and I'll be scared shitless that they're going to all flop because of Trent Grisham just being bad in the past, and another signing that like from Japan, like Shogo Akiyama, that didn't work out, and Mike Yastrzemski's getting old, but those were guys I circled as like I think they could actually do that. I would not like it the most, but I see it as like a more realistic options that they might go get. Unless they go, if they actually do spend 150 million, Rob, then they do have a lot of chances to go get some of those stars. I hope they do.
So here's what I'll say. I do not get anywhere near Trent Grisham. I put him on there, but Joe, I didn't even see this.
Yeah.
He had 34 home runs. Do you see how many doubles he had?
I didn't see his doubles.
He had 9. If he did not hit a home run, he did not basically do anything. He had 116 hits, so maybe that's a little bit of an exaggeration. But he went from 31 home runs in San Diego and 31 doubles and 13 home runs to 9 doubles and 34 home runs. I'm out on him completely. I will be honest with you. Arraez, here's my problem with Arraez. Where do you put him, right? Because what we need is a middle of the order guy who can be we talked about this. You even said it very specifically. A person who can be feared, right? Just to help Elly De La Cruz, right? We had guys on base. We had a lot of guys on base, actually. We were a singles team. So what if he takes over what McLean does slightly? I just don't.
Slightly. I don't know about that.
Let me look. 1 second.
I mean, no, it's definitely fair. I'll be the first one to say, sign me up. If I'm running MLB The Show team, I'm signing Kyle Schwarber right now. And I'm giving
I'm not saying. Look, I'm not saying that they are. I was saying those are the guys that I like. I don't think that. I think they get one. There's actually one guy who I'll bring up here in just a minute, who I legitimately think. Well, maybe two, who I legitimately think who they will actually go after. So give me just 1 second on that one. But I know that people aren't going to want to hear this, but I don't know, man. Maybe you're right on Arraez. I just don't like it at the value. I don't like it at. I don't know. There's just something in me that doesn't like it. I don't know what else to say.
I mean, that's fair. I don't think you're going to get a middle of the. Again, you're going to take a shot. If you want a middle of the order guy, you're going to take a shot on a guy like Trent Grisham, who, again, no doubles.
I think that people are going to want to come play here, dude, more than people realize, man. Even if it's just for a couple years. I mean, I think the combo of Elly De La Cruz, all the pitching that you have, if you are Pete Alonso, right, and you've been dealing with all the bullshit of New York media, of a team that clearly plays more with money than with heart, right? I know that sounds stupid, but it is true, right? And that you can still make about $30 million a year, and you're going to go to a team that is going to have unbelievable pitching compared to what you just dealt with, and plenty of guys who get on base. Dude, Pete Alonso could come to Cincinnati, hit 40-plus home runs a year, drive in 130 runs, and just be the guy, right? And easily win here too. That is the kind of piece that the Reds should go after, because if everybody else is just getting on base like they did last year, right? You need that guy to be so right in the middle of your order and be feared. I just don't think that Arraez, all he does is, yes, he is an upgrade. I'll give you over McLean 100%. You're losing something defensively, I think, pretty significantly, to be honest with you. So where the runs kind of trade off there, I don't know. I don't have that kind of stats in front of me, but I don't know, man. I just think it needs to be a power bat, and it needs to be somebody who's not Trent Grisham. That is barely a power bat to me, but
that's the thing, is you keep on saying Pete Alonso. When are we going to give a guy $30 million? Like you say, he might want to. Pete Alonso would love to come here if everything was equal and we gave him the same contract as bigger clubs, but.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying they have the money. They need to go get one of these guys.
Kyle
I feel
Schwarber
but
might be a guy they can get because he has a hometown affiliation. That's the only thing I can see is Schwarber makes sense. Anyone else who's a top 15-ish free agent, top 20-ish free agent, it's gonna be I would be very happy if it happens.
I don't think you're wrong. I don't think you're wrong.
Right. So again, my guys are just more taking shots, and like honestly, Luis Arraez for 15 million, sign me up. I don't give a shit. But like the other guys, like
I
you
know.
want Harrison Bader? You want Harrison Bader for 20ish? I don't want
Oh,
Harrison Bader for
I don't
20ish.
want anywhere near him. No, I
Like
completely agree with
that's the
you.
thing. That's what I'm saying. Like I'm with you. Like this team, if I'm running MLB the Show, I'm signing Pete Alonso and Kyle Schwarber, and we're just moving positions. We're figuring it out. I think this is like the more realistic thing based on what they have said is like, oh, we have to like align our resources to our payroll. Like, I hope they go spend a lot more money. I hope they get up to 150 million. I hope they do that. I hope that's two impact bullpen pitchers. I hope it's Kyle Schwarber and maybe one other bat. But it's gonna be these guys in the Trent Grisham and the I don't know even farther down like Ryan O'Hearn. Maybe I like Ryan O'Hearn. Maybe him. I don't know. But like it's not. I don't think like. I'd love it for Pete Alonso, Kyle Schwarber. I'll leave it at that. I think Luis Arraez. I want second most out of any free agent batter besides Kyle Schwarber. I understand that he doesn't fit exactly what everyone wants, which is the power. I would love for us to go get another power bat or two like Kyle Schwarber, but that's yeah, I'm with you. I see the issues with it overall. I want Kyle Schwarber number one. That's my wish list. If you're talking realistic stuff, like I'm not saying I even want Trent Grisham. I'm just saying like that's the level of guy that they usually go get. Is like
I completely
15
agree.
million.
I'd rather Ramon
Yeah,
Laureano, if we're being honest here. I think
yeah.
realistically, I mean, he hit 280. Like, I think he's a right-handed bat, right? I'm looking at it from the perspective of they need a middle of the order guy, right? They have the money to get a middle of the order guy for 2 to 3 to 4 years, right? They may not be able to get them at the 10-year mark or whatever that some of these guys are going to be looking for. And what I'm saying is that these are like the guys that I 100%, if I am them, you like just in jersey sales alone, they would make back like half the money on Alonso. They would, because Reds fans would go nuts. Mets fans would be willing at this point probably to just give up on them and become Alonso Reds fans. I know that's not true, but you know what I'm saying. Like, the Reds have an opportunity right now to go get a big bat. Just one big bat, right? And I would rather them blow most, if not all of their spending money, real spending money, not just like we'll fill in some stuff here or there, on one guy that they are sure is going to get it done, and pitch to that guy, come to Cincinnati, because you are the one piece we need to make a run. Right? Now, you're depending on injuries and all that other stuff. But I think realistically, I think the best possible scenario is Kyle Schwarber. I still don't think that's going to happen, although he apparently is very much, I've heard it from even literal people who are friends with Kyle Schwarber, who have said that he is very intent on coming here at some point in his career. So if he's going to come, like, now is the time, right? If he's just like, he just tells his agent to fuck off, and he's like, I'm going to Cincinnati, just get me the best deal that's not going to screw that team over and still make me a respectable amount of money, then that could happen. But when you look at even the rest of these guys who are available, Joe, that's my issue, is they're like, why spend $15 million on Luis Arraez when you could spend an extra $15 million and just get Pete Alonso? Do you get, like, that's kind of where I'm at with it right now. Like, it's not that Luis Arraez wouldn't be a good player on this team. I want that to be very clear. But you are then moving Matt McLain for sure. You are absolutely going to have to put Sal Stewart, and I just don't know where else that helps your team. Right? Like, I just don't know how much better that makes your team. You go into the playoffs with a lineup that has the guys the Reds have right now and Luis Arraez. And is that really changing the outcome of a Dodgers series? I just don't know that it is. I don't know where else they're going to spend their money, Joe. Like, I really don't. But, like, to me, it's like you're just kind of throwing money out there to throw money out there at a guy like Luis Arraez. And it's not that the team wouldn't get better. I really think it would, but I just don't know that it changes the outcome of how this season went by much more than what is he worth? Like 3 wins, 4 wins?
don't know what his win shares are, but I don't know if that's the right way to put it. Is you're throwing money, throwing money just to throw money out. That he's a very good player.
I agree. I just don't think that he's a great player in this specific lineup. That's all I'm saying.
I think he is. I mean, I think you have a chance to get a good player on paper and upgrade Matt McClain, who was awful last year. Now, again, if you want to, not you specifically, if people want to like ride the Matt McClain will be better this year, that's fine. I still really like Luis Arraez.
I think he will.
Approach at the plate.
Yeah,
and I think we can move from a right below league average offense in terms of runs scored, which yes, we did. I don't know how to say this, but like our Baltimore game where we had 23 runs definitely helped with that. But like I guess everyone has those. But I think you move even if you have Luis Arraez and a semi decent bat, you can move this up into near the top 10 range of an offense. Yes, I'll to be quite honest, if you get Kyle Schwarber, you're knocking the doors down. You're moving way up, especially if some of these guys take steps forward like we expect with like Ellie and Marte, right? So I'm with you. If I'm running the Reds, he is not the guy I'm going after. I'm going to spend $30 million. I do not think they're going to spend $25 to $30 million on one specific player. You might be able to get to $20 million with someone. I can see that, but their MO is getting these like mid-tier free agents, which I'll admit Luis Arraez is, but I do think he upgrades our lineup significantly over last year if they want to go make that move. But that's what it is. Like again, dream world. I'm with you. Let's go get Kyle Schwarber. Let's go get Pete Alonso both. I don't give a shit if we have no one to play defense. Move all the guys around. I don't care. But
wow, that's unrealistic. I get what you're saying, but I just think it's like you need one really good signing, man. Just one.
If there was a guy that could get for $20 million, I think that's something they might do. I just think when they get to the top tier free agents like Pete Alonso, or Kyle Schwarber, who's just gonna get whatever he asks for. That's gonna be hard for the Reds to give up. I think like it's gonna be like one of those things where like we're gonna find out Kyle Schwarber is like I'm gonna willing to ask off so many $1 million. I'm gonna bring down the price of me just to come play for Cincinnati. We're gonna hear like a year from now it's like, oh well, the Reds wouldn't do that. Like I knocked off the price so much just to come back to Cincinnati that we'll do that. And then they sign him in 5 years when he's 38 and not as good. Right? That's how things go.
You're not wrong.
I'm with you. The best way to build the team. If we got Kyle Schwarber in this lineup, I am putting a World Series future in tomorrow. I do not care. I don't know if they're going to win it. There's obviously a lot of stacked teams, but I am so excited about that. I do. Again, if I were in running the show, I would be doing what you're doing. I don't know, man. They're going to turn out to not do what they always do. Is kind of what I'm saying. Is like they're going to go get these guys who are going to kind of come in and it might end up being they just run it back. And that's my biggest fear is like.
They won't. They'll go sign Suarez and put him at DH. I am not kidding. I think that is a guy who I could legitimately. I mean, they got him at $15 million right now. You think he would not come back to Cincinnati for $15 million a year to be a full-time DH? I 100% believe that. 100%.
I think he would. Would he come back for $15 million a year when the Mariners are giving him 16 or some other team's giving him 17? That's the real question. We're gonna find out a lot about how much this ballpark can speak for itself, how much money we want to put up. I would love to get in bidding wars this year. It's money it's not my money. I'd love to spend all their money, but I would love to get in bidding wars and win these guys. I think Eugenio is the one that I'll say like that is I would love to have him back. That's not like a dream scenario. That is like that's real. Like I think Kyle Schwarber
I agree.
is like. Kyle Schwarber is a dream, but like it could happen because of his connection to the city. But I think Suarez is like a more, I would say, an expectation that could happen based on our interest at the trade deadline and based on $15 million is a little bit different than 30, and they like to do the bargain thing.
So Schwarber, they got a 25, basically, almost even. Just so you know, for AAV.
And his agent isn't one of like the guys who like really drives up the prices as much. It's Excel.
Well, and the Reds
so I think it's like Excel.
The Reds could learn from the Shohei thing, by the way, with like with a Schwarber, right? And be like, we'll pay you $20 million AAV with, $5 million deferred, for after you retire, something like that, right? Like that's what I'm saying. Like, and I hope you get what I'm saying. Like, I'm not saying that your idea for Arraez is not great, and he is very good. He's very, very good. He can hit anything. Literally, he is. The poor man's version of Tony Gwynn right now. Like in all honesty, he doesn't strike out. He can hit almost anything, right? He would probably hit double-digit home runs in Cincinnati, to be honest, right? Like he's not going to do that in San Diego, The fact that he even had 8 home runs this year is actually pretty impressive for him. Um, and it sounds weird to say like he's coming off of arguably his worst year of his career. It is technically his worst year of his career, but it's 292. So like I get what you're saying. Like he would be really cool to have in this lineup, right? Like in terms of just you're getting one of the best bat to ball guys in baseball. And there's no doubt he would instantly become your 2-hitter. And I think if you have Friedel, him, because he can hit lefties or righties, right? So it doesn't really matter. And then you have Ellie at your 3 spot, then you're in a very good position. Ellie would have plenty of opportunities to drive runs in. The problem becomes then at that 4 spot, because I think Marte is your 5-hitter. I think Marte is absolutely your 5-hitter. It's just who is that 4-hitter? And if you only have $40 million to spend, and you spend $15 million of that on a player like Luiz Arraez, we're just saying him just because you asked me at the start why I gave you this face. That is my reasoning why. Because then you still have to spend that money on those closers and those bullpen pieces that you're talking about. Then Arraez quite literally becomes, Joe, the only bat that you signed. And if you're only going to have one bat that you're going to sign, Arraez just isn't the guy that does it for me. That's all. If you're going to have one bat that you're going to sign, you might as well go spend that extra $10 million and go get a Schwarber or somebody like that. That's where my mindset is at. So I hope that makes sense. That is really and truly where it comes down for me. And I'm looking at these market AAVs based on what SpotTrack says. It's very likely they may all be higher than this, right? That is absolutely a possibility. So then at that point, like, who the hell knows who we're going to get? I mean, shit, maybe Lourdes Gurriel Jr. I don't hate that. He's got a player option for $13 million. He could probably make more than that if he really thinks the Diamondbacks are just outdone, not worth it to play for. Maybe that's a guy you go look at too. But I'm just looking at it based on what we know right now, based on AAV, and we'll see where that goes. But I don't know. I think Schwarber is the pie in the sky, the only realistic option. I think my literally 1% option is Pete Alonso. After that, I would concur somebody like they're saying Naylor at $15 million, Suarez at $15 million, I'm cool with. Lourdes Gurriel at $15 million, I'm cool with. I'd actually rather all 3 of those guys over Arraez, just purely based on the fact that we need a guy who can drive in runs, and Luiz Arraez has never driven in more than nice 69 runs in his career.
Yeah, I know. Again, I'm with you. I like him as a player. I think that it isn't the best fit in terms of if you're looking for a power bat. I do think it's the best fit if you were looking to upgrade second base because, again, I can't trust Matt McClain to go in it every day. I do think there is room where you could sign 2 bats, even with his $14 to $15 million contract. That's obviously, we have to make some other moves first. Like you said, declining Austin Hayes' option will free up some money. You want to see how many bullpen people they get. You said they might get 1. I think they need to get 2.
I agree.
Again, it's not my money. It's not my money. It's going to be, if I could say let's not have $150 million is going to be our payroll, I'd say Arraez, let's go get someone else too. It'll probably be another guy in the $10-ish million range and then go get some bullpen guys. But, it's more of like a shopping thing, right? It's like you can't, or at least in our minds, we can't afford Pete Alonso. So you got to go get someone for $15 million, right? You get someone for $15 million. The next guy you get, you can only spend $7 or $8 million. Who's that going to be? And it just comes down to the $7 or $8 million guy. I like the floor that Arraez gives you and this team. I do think that the RBIs will come, especially because we'll have more guys on base for Ellie and Marte to hit in, especially a full season for Marte. But the $7 or $8 million guy, you're going to have to take a huge risk on. It's going to be some of these guys like Trent Grisham. So it's like one of those things where we don't know what they actually want to spend. If they want to spend $150 million or more, they can build a sick lineup. Like, honestly, with our already guys, they can do it. If they want to spend a couple $1 million here or there, we are going to get the same as we got this year. We're going to get Austin Hayes. We're going to get Gavin Lux. Appreciate what those guys did for us. I have bigger aspirations. And yeah, I don't. A lot of it comes down to the bullpen and the pitchers. Like, I hate to say it, but like, if you don't bring up any of these free agents back, and you decline some of these options, as much as I do think that some of them would be good deals, like Brent Suter and Scott Barlow, even if SpotTrack said Scott Barlow is too much, I think that's fine. That could open up more money to spend on the hitting if that's what they want to do. That's just going to leave a kind of a bullpen that could be worse, a starting pitching staff that could be very, very weak. So it's not just like you know, I get it. We need power. What power are we going to go spend on? How much money are we going to have to spend on that power bat? And that's why guys like Trent Grisham come to mind, is just because I think there's gonna be a lot of teams who, like me, see that this year was a good step for him. He cut down on strikeouts a decent amount, but
Mm-hmm.
like that's still a huge risk. And I don't know if teams who are like competing at the biggest levels want to do that. Whereas we kind of have to get those guys. So I'm not saying I love these guys either. Besides Arraez, I do love the other ones. I don't even like that much, to be honest. But that's just, I think that's kind of where we're at. So I'll say I'll go with a couple different things. My dream is to get Kyle Schwarber and Luis Arraez, because I think there's two things we do need on this team: power and second baseman, and a guy who can consistently get on before Ellie. I think will be awesome for this offense. The more realistic thing is something like Trent Grisham, Mike Yastrzemski, like the guys that said there. And I don't know if I like that, but that's just what I kind of think they're going to do. That still, like you said, Rob, that still doesn't leave a whole lot of room to improve the bullpen or the starting pitching. And I don't know what they're going to do. I think they're probably going to keep on doing what they usually do, which is try to find guys for like $3 million, $4 million to provide value. But when we get to the end of the year, it might be like, oh, we're another average bullpen. Our lineup got better because Marte took a step forward and Ellie took a step forward. But like, you can't compete for a World Series. Shucks, what are we going to do? And next year we're going to do the same thing. It's going to be let's go sign a couple of bullpen guys for $3 and $4 million, and not have a true closer. And like, as much as I do love Tony, that's just kind of my thought process. Is that's how it's going to go. I would prefer your way of thinking in terms of like the big fish. But you are right. If they do somehow get my guy Arraez, they would have a huge hole in the middle of the lineup. I would love for them to get someone to really be good. It's just the power hitters, the value of them go from so valuable to so not quickly, like the Trent Grishams. Suarez is a good medium. Again, just if Pete Alonso stays with the Mets and Suarez stays with the Mariners or goes somewhere to another big market, it's just kind of like this big food chain of like, oh, we're the 20th in the food chain. Hopefully we're more now because we have more money to spend, but that's where it comes down to. So, again, I don't have any big problems with what you said and your strategy getting the power bat. I just don't know Reds will spend that money. And I'm with you. I do think it would be a better call. I think the return on investment you get back from signing Kyle Schwarber would be more than if you signed
much.
two guys for $10 million. Like they're probably going to do. They're probably going to do two guys for $10 million, and we're going to be sitting here. You're going to be mad because they didn't get Schwarber and Pete Alonso. I'm going to be mad because they didn't get Luis Arraez. And we're both going to be like, oh, we estimated too much. So you're going to spend too much money because I said a $15 million guy and you said a $20 to $25 million guy. So it's I hope they take a step forward. The Reds. It's not like both situations could work for this team and make this team better. They could kind of come up short and not do either. That's what's kind of I think going to be frustrating about it.
I will say, so what we'll do is, because we've gone over, but this is anticipated a longer episode considering we're only doing one a month. So I think we can afford ourselves this time. The next time, real quick, by the way, we will be checking in is in December, at the beginning of December. I believe it's December 3rd, again, exactly a month from now. That'll be right before the winter meetings. I will then be on my honeymoon in the UK for a couple weeks, and then we'll be back either late December or early January. So keep that in mind. We're going to finish up here, Joe. I would say we got about 15 minutes left, 10 to 15 at most. We're going to give our highest in the sky, realistic, and then even worse than realistic for just a couple guys real quick. And that's it. All right. Really, truly, I'm going to say the Schwarber is high in the sky. I do think there's a chance he would be a freaking hero if he came back to Cincinnati for like $18 million a year. To write up, he's like, I'm going to be done at 37 or 38. I've just decided that that's when I want to be done, and I'm going to spend my last 4 years playing, 5 years, whatever, 6 years, I don't know, playing in Cincinnati, right? Reds fans would adore the man forever. Again, they would make enough in jersey sales from the first year to probably pay for his first year of his contract. So we already saw that with like Ohtani apparently made the Dodgers like $1 bajillion. So while we are a small market, it would make the most sense. And I think really and truly it's going to take Kyle Schwarber coming to the Reds front office and saying, we are getting a deal done. I want to be here. I think for them to get the deal done. So I'm going to just put that out there. I think my realistic option, and I know I've given you shit for it this whole time, but here's what I think they'll do. I think they go and they get Miguel Andujar for sure. I think he makes a lot of sense, and I think he'd be really good here. Do not get me wrong. If that man bats 300, I'll be honest with you, I think he's a better version of what I would want from Luis Arraez because he's actually going to have at least some power and be able to hit probably like 25 home runs if he's healthy, and still bat probably close to 300. So really and truly, and he's going to be able to get lefties, a thing we have a problem with. So I'm cool with them getting Andujar. I think that seems very likely. I wouldn't even be surprised if Andujar is a Cincinnati Red in the next couple of weeks, to be completely honest with you. If he liked being here that much, if he liked the guys, and the Reds can say, hey, we'll give you a little bit more than what you were getting paid, give him another opportunity to get back out there on the market if he wants to later on. Totally see that happening. My other guy who I think is realistic is I really think they'll go after Ramon Laureano, to be honest with you, to put in left field. I think he's an interesting bat. He had a good year this year with the Orioles and with the Padres. I think he's going to command a little bit more money than people would like, but I do think that he has refound himself in a pretty significant way. To be honest with you, I really like what they have done there, or what he has done there specifically. I was a little worried about him and like a change of scenery stuff. I wanted to see kind of how he would do. And I think he went over to the Padres and was awesome. Personally, I really liked seeing what I saw out of him, and to see him, climb back. I mean, he was batting 211 in 22, 224 in 23, 259, 281. He seems to be a guy who's on the upswing. And he's shown that he's not like a huge strikeout guy like what we saw with Jamer or anything. I would rather them take a swing on a guy like this, because he's also been, I wouldn't say healthy, but he seemingly has been more healthy than Austin Hayes has been. And I think they could actually get him for a little less than Austin Hayes, to be completely honest with you. My absolute worst case scenario. Oh boy, they overpay. They overpay for somebody like a Kepler, a Verdugo, a Lane Thomas. I could see them taking a chance on Lane Thomas. I wouldn't hate it, but or Cedric Mullins, somebody like that. And then, maybe they go out and they surprise everybody, get Marcell Ozuna, everybody's happy, and then Ozuna is beating somebody up again, and, we're not able to do that. Last possible one here, and then I'll leave it to you. They go out and they go get Jesse Winker as the bring it back guy instead of Kyle Schwarber. And I wouldn't hate it. I loved Jesse. I have a Jesse Winker jersey. He was my guy for so long. I remember even writing an article about how one of my first articles was that he was going to be the Reds 300, 400, 500 slash player. He did that one time, and I really thought that was his coming out party, and he's never been able to repeat it since. So, or even like a Josh Bell. I could see them going out and getting like a Josh Bell for a stupid amount of money for no reason. So, that's what I'm seeing right now. Joe, where are your, again, top guy, middle, worst case scenario?
Yeah, top still Kyle Schwarber. I would say Pete Alonso. I love Pete Alonso too.
I would love him. I don't think it's likely. I don't. Yeah. But I think
connection be. Right, yeah, connection to the city means something to Schwarber. The fact that he said it in an interview, he's not saying that he's going to New York. He's not driving up the price of himself by saying he wants to go back home. Again, just more so will we pay up and even get to a number that is acceptable, because we've had negotiations in the past with Nick Castellanos where we just don't even make an offer. And maybe people are saying now maybe that's good, but that didn't work out or whatever. But the negotiation part of it is what scares me. I would say Kyle Schwarber would be the pie in the sky dream, and then you kind of go down the list and maybe get someone. Even bringing Austin Hayes back after a decline team option would be fine, just to play outfield as well. He's probably still have enough money to do that, even with Kyle Schwarber. But it's going to be someone in that mold. It's hard to give out specific names. There's so many free agents. The more, I would say, realistic scenario is, especially because the team likes to play this way with the contact, is Luis Arraez and another guy for $7 to $8 million. I don't know. So someone like Trent Grisham, even a couple more $1 million, but we take the risk on the power bat. The power bat makes everyone mad all season long, as all he does is strike out, even though he got better at strikeouts last year. And that's gonna be fun to watch. But and then the worst case scenario, I think is I'm not gonna steal yours, because yours I think is overpaying people we don't need is crazy. But and we shouldn't do that, like you said. But just running it back. To be honest, if it's just running it back, I don't want, and maybe it works out, honestly. Maybe it's we have a good group of guys. Sal Stewart's back. He's going to lift this team. Noelvi Marte and Ellie are going to take steps forward. They're going to lift the team. But, you still got the power issue. Is Ellie going to figure it out? I think the injury, without the injury, I don't think it was much the approach at the plate as much as it was the injury for Ellie that maybe hurt his power. Like everyone is talking about just how we want guys to hit for contact. There is something to be said for that, but at the end of the day, you're still trying to hit the ball hard, and I don't know about that. So that would be the worst case scenario. We just run it back, and we're sitting there trying to figure out if Matt McClain is worth sending down or trading, or Gavin Lux should play second base, or Sal Stewart, doesn't play every day. That type of thing would be just infuriating. So that's my worst case. I will give them credit. They might strike out on guys like Mike Moustakas and Jamer. When they take those chances, I want them to keep on taking those chances as long as the process of getting those guys is good, and that's the frustrating part. So, plenty of options out there this free agency. I know there's a lot of guys that are kind of worried about possible lockouts, so maybe if you get someone locked up early, maybe that'd be good. I don't know. See what happens.
Honestly, that's a great point too. It really is. I think lockout will probably play into this a little bit. I don't think they're going to run it back. I will say that. I'm pretty confident they will try something else. I think trade is most likely, to be honest with you. I think some of those guys I was saying, Langoliers, Yandy, Brent Rooker, Arozarena, Duran, Kwan, and Weiler Abreu. I love Weiler Abreu, honestly, as an option for them. I think he could be sneaky good in Cincinnati. That's a guy who I'd be more willing to take a risk on than a Trent Grisham. I know Grisham hit 12 more home runs than Abreu, but Abreu's just a better hitter. Grisham can play a decent defense. I will give him that as well. But, God, dude, seeing those 9 doubles scares me. I really would have thought it would have been like 25. You know what I mean? Like 34 home runs, 25 doubles would have been like, okay, like this guy's pretty legit. But the fact that it was like either home run or single and that was pretty much it, that just worries me substantially. But this has been our off-season show, guys. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Like I said, it's the first one. The Reds will make some sort of move. It'll probably be something small. They'll at least let us know who's declining an option or whatever moving forward. Joe, do you have any wise words of wisdom? Any final thoughts before we sign off here for the day?
Well, we mentioned some of this earlier, but Ke'Bryan Hayes won his Gold Glove. Another former Red won a Gold Glove, and it was Ty France.
That was a surprise. He had a great year, honestly.
Started off with the Twins. We talked about him earlier in the year of like a guy that maybe we should have kept around based on the fact that we got him for cheap. And this year he played well. He had 257 batting average, obviously won the Gold Glove. He didn't have that power, and I know that's a big thing, but I don't like, other teams getting guys like this that we had on our roster all that often. So it's kind of going to be back and forth here, but Ty France, would have loved to see what he could do another year here, but Jeff Hoffman kind of blew the World Series for the Blue Jays.
Bummer.
Former Red. So just the kind of former Reds notes here. I feel bad for him. They interviewed him after the game, and it was like, oh, please don't interview. That's got to feel like the worst thing ever. But a little sick, twisted part of me is like, at least it was another Red who didn't go off and do great things with someone else. At least it was like, I don't know. If they would have won the World Series and Jeff Hoffman closed it down with the bases loaded in the ninth, I would have probably cried.
I mean, look, the Reds revived his career. He's gotten a lot of money out of it. I don't feel too bad about it. I really don't. I mean, he had one job. I think Pagan gets it done. Joking.
We're saying, not me.
It's not me either. Yeah, I will say, guys, this is a vitally important for this group of core players. This offseason is vitally important to show the belief that they keep claiming to have for this Reds team. We'll have to see if they can back it up. So I'm excited to see what they do over the next 2 months, Joe. I really anticipate trades to be their big one. They have, I think, done a relatively good job of finding, diamonds in the rough, if you want to call it that. Bring me Miggy Andujar again and go, see what else they can find out there. Even, maybe somebody with a decently big contract. And God, I will say right now, just straight up, I don't care if I'm in England or not. If they go and they sign Pete Alonso, I will at least hop on for 10 minutes real quick and we will record something and talk about that, or Schwarber, either one of them. We will find a way to get on real quickly, even if I'm in a different time zone for 10 minutes, and I'll let Joe do all the uploading and everything, but I'll at least talk to him on here with you guys for it. But I think that's going to wrap it up for us on this one. So, from our house to yours, thanks for watching, and we will catch you on the next one.